New DC publication this is.
Muchachos, bienvenidos a Notifriki TV, el canal para el amante del cómic que llevas dentro. El día de hoy empezamos con
The Sword of Azrael, the Multiverse Luis Fernando or. Let's start. We begin on the island of Judas. Here it's already a monastery. It's the only structure built on this island. It's isolated from the rest. It's too hot and in winter it's too cold at night. Only a centimeter of foam separates Jean-Paul from the place feed on the earth. But this year's harvest has been poor. They must be careful not to eat too much this. But Jean-Paul unknown, but initially he thought he was too quiet. Nevertheless Jean-Paul has learned to embrace the saints like Saint Stephen who died stoned, or Saint Cyriacus who had all his limbs torn from his body, or Saint a copper bull. Jean-Paul is accompanied by brother Humbert and he is worried since Jean-Paul this is the only way to keep him calm. He is a sadist. However, brother Humberto believes it is the he repeats these stories to remind himself that just because you pray doesn't mean you are separated from God. Coming from the port, it seems that someone is being hurt there. A man holds a woman asking her to pay him. Soon Jean-Paul is approaching. Asking what is happening, the fisherman tries to explain that this woman paid him half for the he pays. Jean-Paul asks him to release her. At this moment, this fisherman has entered private property. Fearing, he asks the monk what he is going to do. For just a second, Jean-Paul manages to contain himself, but then the system takes control. Shot in the fisherman's face. The man cannot believe that a monk has hit him this way. Jano asks for forgiveness. Fisherman attacks, but a voice in Jean-Paul's mind asks him to throw himself to the ground. The armed Jean-Paul refuses. This voice begins to explain how to end this fight quickly, but Jean-Paul silences this voice with stories of saints and his tragic deaths. This voice is the voice of Azrael, the angel of vengeance, and he asks to be free, but Jean-Paul cannot. The fisherman will die instantly because of all this noise. The fisherman's father emerges from the monk attacked him, but his father doesn't believe him. He's just a monk, and now he lies on the ground wounded. The fisherman's father, he cares about him. He just wants them to leave this woman alone. The fisherman's father promises to do so. The debt she owed was forgotten. Paul, as the boat sails away, the woman thanks the monk. She thinks these fishermen were part of the group pursuing her. Paul doesn't understand. The woman tells him that there is a group of people who want to kill her. They told her. God to Jean-Paul, this story sounds very familiar, but he doubts that these fishermen are involved in it. They just wanted to get paid. Bursts into tears. Jean-Paul doesn't believe her either. She was sure that in this place they would hear her prayers. People she speaks of has killed everyone she cared about. Jean-Paul offers to enter the monastery. There they can talk. The only reason he came here is for this monastery. He traveled from Paris because God told that in this place he can find the man called Jean-Paul Valley. This terrifies Jean-Paul. He abandoned caused he left with a fake passport without a trace. No one knows he is here now. He can feel Azrael inside him struggling to get out, and Jean-Paul thinks that perhaps not even in this place he can have peace. Then brother Humbert, terrified and tired, the brother asks Jean-Paul if he told her anything about him. According to Jean-Paul, Humberto does not believe the same. He remembers a man who reached the shores of this island in a torn suit, saying that in his soul he Jean-Paul doesn't want to comment on any of that revenge. He doesn't want his madness to fuel Briel's believe the same. They sent her for him. Jean-Paul doesn't believe it. Who created him? The Order of Saint Dumas. His name to make him appear, perhaps to punish him for what he did in Gotham. Humberto thinks that this woman suddenly takes a book and hands it to her. Jean-Paul had never seen that book by Marjorie Kemp. XIV in England, she was poor and miserable until she had her first child, and then she began to hear the voice of God. Marjorie spread prophecy. From the country, Gel asks what happened to her. It is most likely that she was burned in the Orca, but that was traveling across the country before she died. She wrote her story. That book is one of the first autobiographies written in the He believes that in the modern world he most likely would have been diagnosed with postpartum psychosis. With God, or at least believed that she did, changed her life. Jampo finds this an interesting story, but he wouldn't cut off other people's heads with a fire sword. Israel likes to hurt people. Humberto understands it's the only thing he wants. Jean-Paul, perhaps he has something important to say in his chambers. Jean-Paul talks with Israel and feels that there is something more, but first they must pray. What Jean-Paul is looking for is within the system. According to Jean-Paul, when he was a child, the order of conditioning and hypnosis and a bunch of drugs to implant a system inside his head. When it is activated, it makes of vengeance and becomes a private killer for this organization, as well as his father and his father's father. Since learned a lot about this system through meditation, he can now find peace within himself, and he can also navigate it. Jean memories. Why remember the first time he heard the name Azrael when his father died in his arms, his master Nomos, and the training they had. He was also the first to forge his armor before the system taught him how. Jean remembers also Bruce Wayne. Why why how he went to him for help when back Jean-Paul also remembered Batman's legacy and showed his weakness, but Jean-Paul also tried to do good things for Gotham, fall into delirium and be manipulated by a false prophet. Finally Jean-Paul reaches the deepest part of it, form of Azrael, the angel of vengeance dwelling within his mind. Jampo asks the angel what he wants to show him. Mucho que él no conoce hay muchos secretos sobre el sistema deba escuchar, demasiado caótico él no entiende esta no es una memoria que le pertenezca y se encuentra en lo más profundo del sistema, ojos así que las abra convirtiéndose en un ángel el mismo, pero Jean-Paul se niega a aceptar este hecho. Él no es it. He appears in his room. Brother Humberto lets slip the name of this monk Briel. Now he knows that this is the man he was looking for. Observing Azrael's helmet, he has no doubt, but he denies it. Then Azrael hears footsteps on the roof. Someone is taking tactical. Paul must get ready. Everything indicates that someone was really behind Briel and Jean-Paul will have. He takes it with the other monks, then he gives the sword of Azrael to Brother Humberto. With that, perhaps he can defend himself outside. The team is being led by the daughter of vain vengeance, but Azrael has no time or patience for them. They are sinners and deserve to die. Since vengeance is very far away, he cannot distinguish him and thinks he is a superhero. He is a hero. She knows him. It's Azrael. He fought against her father. Revenge. She presents herself as his daughter, but Azrael doesn't care. The blood of Briel. The woman prayed to God, and God sent Azrael to protect her. Revenge stops Azrael. Kill her. They are here to protect her. Briel will be the one to rebuild the order of the Knights Templar within the monastery. Azrael, and she recognizes him as the weapon of an angel. Here the girl realizes that she wasn't really looking for Azrael, the angel that was always inside her. Briel's voice changes. She is the angel Sariel, and she is in this world to cleanse him by was always inside her. Briel was Azrael.